Hey, this is Jim Moyna, and this right behind me, sides of me, in front of me, that's Smith Lake. Because this is the Smith Lake Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit Tournament recap for Jim Moyna. Now, this was one of those tournaments where you just catch them one day and you don't catch them the other day. It so happened the first day, I only caught 2 fish, 2 keepers. Second day, I caught maybe, 12 or 13 keepers. And the first day I was in 126th place with those 2 little keepers, and feeling kind of down about my fishing. So the next day, the strategy was just to go out and fish a whole bunch of new water. Forget any place I went to in practice. I was just going somewhere new. And fortunately, I ran into the fish. I found a nice school of spotted bass where I probably got up to about 12 pounds with them things. 5 fish for 12 pounds. And then I just happened to duck into a largemouth pattern. Well, I wouldn't really say that. I mean, I happened to be coming by this dock, so I'm like, well, I'll try this dock. And I caught a 3-pound, 15-ounce largemouth, and then another one that was probably like 2.5. So those 2 calls called me up to my total weight of 15.3. So that was quite the jump from 3.5 pounds on day 1 to about 13, or what did I say, 15.3 the last day, which put me in 53rd place in the money. So what happened out here? In practice, I caught a lot of fish, all kinds of fish. Most of them were small. The way it goes out here, at least kind of how for me was you just got to run into them and catch a bunch, and then you just call through them and get your weight that way. And that first day of the tournament, I couldn't even catch fish hardly, and I don't know what was going on. I caught my main bait in practice was a swim bait. Using the 1/4 ounce and a 3/8 ounce all-terrain tackle smallie smasher with a little swim bait on there. Holy cow. Can you hear that music? That boat's like a half a mile away, and I can hardly hear myself think. Anyways, God, I hope that's not messing up this video. Who cares? It's a good song. Why not? So anyways, the smallie smasher by all-terrain tackle was what I was catching them on, with a Keitech swim bait on there, mainly the 3.3. And of course, I went to that hot and hard and heavy on day 1 of the tournament, and I never caught a keeper on it, and I barely caught anything on it, period. So that was kind of disgusting. So the next day, I was so disgusted with the spotted bass, I decided, I'm just going to go largemouth fishing. So I spent like 3 hours largemouth fishing yesterday, and all I had was one. It was a nice keeper. It swam up out of the cover and hit my bait right as my bait hit the surface, and I was pulling out of the water. And I saw the fish. It looked like a nice one, like 2.5, 3 pounds at best, maybe. Good largemouth. But that was all I caught 2 other little tiny largemouth, but nothing was going on. And then I just so happened to see out in the middle of the lake, some fish busting out there. And they look small, but I'm like, all right, what the heck? Let's go out there and see what's going on with are they white bass, stripers, little Kentuckies? What are they? So I go out there, and sure enough, I start catching these little spotted bass, or I said Kentuckies. There's 2 names for the same species. And I started catching all these little ones, and but then I saw like a bigger one. I mean, they're blowing up, just kind of random, one here, one there, kind of a thing. You'd see the minnows like get really nervous across the surface, and then one would blow up, and I saw like what I thought was a good one. So I'm like, well, maybe I can get a good one out here. Then finally I caught my first keeper. It was a line burner. You know, it was 15-inch limit. Just barely hit that 15-inch mark. So I'm like, well, I'll just keep hammering on these until I, see if I can't get a limit. And I kept catching them. It'd be one small one after another. And then every once in a while I'd get another one right at the 15-inch line. And then I'd get one right under the line and I'd throw it back. Or then I'd get one that's only 10 inches and throw it back. And this kind of went on for a few hours. And then at one point, I actually hooked up a good one, a good fish. And this was kind of early on. And, maybe I'd been there 15 minutes or 20, no, longer than that, half hour. But I hooked up with this good one. Oh, jeez. Before that, okay, remember I said I saw that good one blow up? Well, I also had one probably only about 10 to 15 minutes into it. I had a good one follow up to the boat, and I just saw him flash down there. And I'm like, well, God, that was a good one. But at that point, I still didn't know if I was dealing with stripers. I knew there was spotted bass there, but I didn't know if there were stripers mixed in. Maybe it was like a 3 or 4 pound striper or something. Really didn't know. But I'm like, it gives you the confidence. Well, hey, there's some nicer fish here, whatever they are. Let's just keep fishing. But anyways, probably a good half hour to hour into it, I finally hook up a good fish. And what happens? It's like it came off, so I never got to see it. Dang it! And that I'm still not. I didn't know if it was a striper or whatever. Who knows? But anyhow, I worked on the school for a few hours, and eventually I did start, the bigger ones were coming in the boat. I ended up with a couple over 3 pounds, another one around 2 pounds, and like I said, I got up to like about a 12-pound limit of spotted bass out of this school. I had to sort through a lot of little fish to get to where I was at, but I was feeling pretty good about that. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, to really get the truly kickers, a largemouth is what I need, if I'm going to bump this bag up anymore. But so I just kept fishing, out in this open water area looking for another school. And then I came near this dock, and I'm like, well, I'll just dip into this dock and see if there's a largemouth sitting under there. And so I took a worm and threw a worm under there, and sure enough, I caught my biggest fish, which was a 315. It was a largemouth, sure enough. So called out a spotted bass, and then worked the heck out of this dock, and then worked it around, then came back, worked it around again this way, and then right exactly where I caught the 315, it was like a 2.5 pound largemouth. And so that was pretty cool. And then I had all these other docks I could go fish. So naturally, what are you going to do? You're going to start hitting these other docks. And never had another bite. Period. And then for the last 15 minutes of the day, what I did was I went back to the dock where I caught the 2 largemouths, didn't catch any more. And then I went back to where that school of spotted bass was and caught like three fish. None of them helped. And that was my day. So feel really good having a good comeback like that. It was just a matter of getting into the fish, First day, for whatever reason, I didn't get into the fish. Second day, I got into them. It's the way she goes out here on the tournament scene sometimes. And with spotted bass, they move around so much. That's the problem. I was into the fish in practice in more ways than one. I don't know what happened to all them fish, but anyhow, that's enough for that. And over and out.